Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It looks like the days of SNP dominance are finally over. The latest poll from YouGov shows a massive drop in support. In fact, it's the lowest support level for over 5 years. And if this was reflected at a general election, the SNP are likely to lose 22 seats. All of them, of course, to a now resurgent Labour, whose momentum continues to roll on and grow. It's likely that the Conservatives won't lose any seats at all, which is also surprising. Indeed, the Lib Dems are likely to win as well and actually increase their seats, but this at the expense of the Labour Party. But we'll take a look at the share, we'll take a look at the numbers, and we'll see why it's all going very, very wrong for Dumza Useless, a man who is now no longer so much a leader of a party as the one they're all pointing the finger at and saying it's your fault. The scapegoat, if you will. Anyway, we'll take a look at this, see what's going on and see who's to blame. Although we know, don't we? Anyway, here goes. Right, the age of the SNP is over, as new poll adds to Dumza Useless's pain, with the vote share plummeting to a 5-year low. Very, very heartening to the other parties, especially, of course, to Labour. They're making massive gains on the back of the SNP's total collapse. There's no other word for it. So for a party to lose that many seats, it is an absolute rout. And they'll be going into this next general election deeply worried. And they know they've only got one man to blame, and that's him there, trying his best to do a thumbs up with his funny little hands. Anyway, Scottish Labour welcomed the new polling, which found that they are set to win 22 seats from the floundering nationalists. It's always sort of fish related, isn't it, with the SNP? They look set to lose a heavy number of MPs at the next general election. I mean, and once they lose heavy in the general election, of course, you'll be then looking forward to the Holyrood elections, and that'll be more of the same, I think. The only thing that will stop it is if they change their leader, which I think is likely to happen. Anyway, the age of SNP dominance is over, claims Scottish Labour, after a new poll added to Dumza Useless's pain. A YouGov survey found that the nationalist vote share is at its lowest level since 2018, with the party only 4 points ahead of their nearest rivals in Westminster voting intention, they of course being Labour. The polling means that the Nats would lose 22 of their seats, all of them to Scottish Labour, while winning none of the Scottish Tories, who hold on to their 6. It would leave the SNP with 26 MPs, 3 ahead of Labour. YouGov's research put Mr Useless's party on 36%, which is down a point since April, when they last polled voting intentions. So it's still falling. You see, this is the thing. When you look at the polls, there is a continual line, and it is downward trending. Every time there's a poll, they're going down further and further. So it's a trend line, but it's a lowering trend line. That has got to be deeply, deeply concerning to the SNP. But not to us, though. Anyway, there is little to separate both parties in Glasgow, central Scotland, the Lothians and the west of Scotland, with the pair neck and neck in the country's biggest city. With Labour edging out the Nats in the central and the Lothians, while the SNP are slightly ahead in the west. Deputy Leader Dame Jackie Baillie welcomed the results. Of course she would. She is going to be sitting there gleeful, grinning like a Cheshire cat, you know. The polls are increasingly clear the age of SNP dominance is over, she said. The people of Scotland are increasingly turning to Scottish Labour, from plans to generate thousands of green jobs by harnessing Scotland's energy potential to smashing the class ceiling. It is clear that only Labour has the vision and hunger for change that is shared by Scottish people. Is there a class ceiling? I don't think so. I think there may have been once. I don't think there is anymore. Too many Barra boys have made it to the top, haven't they? So I don't think there is a class ceiling. Scottish Labour takes nothing for granted, she said, but we will fight day in and day out to take on the SNP and the Tories and give Scotland the fresh start it needs. Well, the Tories will get a few seats. They're not really your enemy in Scotland, are they? It's the SNP. And you've got to think, you only need another 2 seats and you'll be there. You'll be level with them. So you can take 2 more seats off the SNP, and that's not impossible. Given the trending down, that is going to be an astonishing result. Leading pollster Sir John Curtis, Professor Sir John Curtis, they should say. If you're going to call Jackie Baillie Dame, at least give him his title. Described how Labour was clearly breathing down the SNP's neck, but that their success will rest on whether they can persuade Tory voters to jump ship, while also winning over, yes, supporters? Well, here's the thing. Labour are a unionist party. They do not want to break up the union. And indeed, if they're going to win that number of seats in Westminster from Scotland, the last thing they want to do is give those seats up if it meant maybe not having the majority in Parliament. So there's no way Scotland is going to get independence with Labour. And if you take that into account, it'll be very hard to get the yes voters directly on board by that. But that doesn't mean that they won't vote Labour, because a lot of yes voters don't like where the SNP is going. And of course they have a personal animosity against Dumza Useless, who clearly doesn't like the colour of their skin. According to the polling, 21% of people who voted Conservative in the 2019 election will switch to Labour. Wow, a fifth of people who voted Tory are going to switch directly to Labour. That is astonishing, isn't it? Although not really. No, I suppose really a lot of people didn't vote Conservative at the last election. They voted for Boris. So that might explain it. Anyway, but they would retain their 6 constituencies despite dropping by 2 points to 15% of the share. But they keep their 6 seats. The Lib Dems, whose support also fell 2 points to 6%, would win 5 seats and an increase of 1. Alba would lose both the MPs who already defected from the SNP. In fact, defecated would be nearer the truth with Alba. Mr Useless is still portrayed in a negative light by voters and anyone who's met him. And as he has a negative rating of -16, with only 52% of people who voted for his party thinking he's doing well. He can barely get half of his own party thinking he's doing well. It's no wonder it's good night Vienna for the SNP, isn't it? If you can't even persuade your own voters to vote for you because of the leader. Douglas Ross and Anna Sawar received boosts to their popularity, with the Scottish Tory leader increasing his score by 8 points to -36. Bad, isn't it? You're getting a boost and you're up to -36. Mr Sawar became the only party leader to return a positive rating of +4. That's because he has done the best thing possible and kept his mouth firmly shut for the last 2 years, and when something needs to be said, he wheels out Jackie Bailey. SNP Deputy Westminster leader Mary Black also features for the first time and divides opinion in Scotland due to her outspoken views and stench. A total of 33% of those polled have an unfavourable view of her. Have an unfavourable view of her, while 32% do like her. Oh, that's only because they haven't met her. But still, more people dislike than like. But that doesn't surprise me with Mary Black. There's Professor Sir John Curtis, as we call him. So he basically is overseeing a party that is crashing and burning in the polls. It is absolutely unsavable now. A man with no charisma. A man who's despised by nearly half of his own party. His own supporters don't like him. It's no wonder, is it? It's time for a change. He smiles, but inside, he's burning. Anyway, let's round off there and come up. I think long gone are the days when the SNP had an absolute majority in Holyrood. The whole system was set up, of course, to stop that happening. It was supposed to be impossible that any party could have an absolute majority. But of course, there's just so many people voted for the SNP that it happened. Nobody foresaw it. It was also only for one parliament, but it was still there. But those were the heady days. You're not going to see those days again. Not for many a long year, I suspect. Because you've got to think, even after Dumza Useless departs, and it won't be that long now, I think, Kate will take over. But what's she going to give it? 4 or 5 years max? Then she's out. And there's no one else coming up that's got any talent or charm, charisma, the ability to communicate, half a brain. You know, the old guard will be ousted as soon as Kate takes over. They'll be flung far and wide and never to be seen again. Backbenches only. She'll bring in a new team. But where's she picking that team from? Again, low talent. Very low talent party. Anyway, that'll do. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video has been good enough to earn that subscription, and if so, please do hit that button. It really helps the channel, gets the message out. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and just hold your nerve now, because the election's coming and half of them are going. It's going to be fantastic. Bye.